Great sunrise, sunshines. This is Lightbearer, and I'm here today to discuss what I see with AKA Natureboy, AKA Eligio, AKA Babajii. You can change the label on the package, but if the ingredients are still the same, it's the same. It's the same item. It's the same thing. Like, you can run from your situation, your issues, your problems, but until you dealt with them, faced them, truly faced them and dealt with them, they will forever haunt you and be with you and be a big part of who you are. We can never run from things that have affected our lives. And this is what I see within him. I see that he is trying to escape something that is become who he is. And I don't think the people who watch him and know that what he does is not good recognize the gravity of what his life is showing us a great deal. Everything reflects, but we got to know what to look at to see our reflection of our own lives. And sometimes it may not be the things that we have done or we're doing currently. It may be looking ahead for us and letting us know a lesson that we are to learn from it. Because one thing I know about this man is he's very intelligent, very smart. And unfortunately, the consciousness that he holds for our people's liberation has been guided back into the trap house. The consciousness, the gravity of this, grasp the gravity of this. The consciousness to our people's liberation has been used in this man to guide most people of soul back into a trap house on fire. Because he comes as a light, and he's supposed to be a light, but unfortunately, due to the environmental influences upon his own life, since birth, he has been affected. Like a vampire has bit him, and now he has become a vampire. and a zombie because he does not know this. He does not see how he's been used by the beast. In his mind may be a different reality. So he moves on in that what he sees in his perception, his self-perception. He moves on in it. And we all can relate a bit to the trauma that he's been through. And he has never dealt with it. And when we never deal with our trauma in our lives, and we think that we can be a superpower for others, we end up being the beast instead. The beast is all about control and power over people. And we also pick up on being environmentally induced and environmentally drowned and within the mentality of the beast. We come up just like the beast. We have the mentality, the needs, the wants of the beast. This is what happens. So until one can face those demons, one cannot ever run anywhere to anything. You can't run away from it. It's always going to be there with you. Just like I say, the goodness, the greatness, the peacefulness is always been with me because I've engulfed it, because I've allowed it, I've opened up for it. I've always opened up for it, and I've always been about self-help, and I've always been about healing and facing things. I knew at a young age that I did not need to run from that which I thought was fearful. Instead, I knew I had to always face those things. And I faced those things. And I continue to face those things to get clarity on exactly what that is and why that was or why that is. And I think I have a fairly great grasp on that knowledge now. And that's what, if only this man had that on why things happened the way they did in his life and what it is, then he may not continue to abuse others in the form or the way that he does now. But I think that the beast, the nature of the beast, is taking course within his life and has hindered him from seeing that part. Therefore, that's the way, and that's how he continues to uh, become more like the beast in utilizing at the same time and utilizing the consciousness of liberation of souls getting free from the control and the power. It's another trap. Like many times I talked about religion being a trap. We know that some religions end up being a cult, a culture, where they go off and they create this village or create this place where people can come to, like Jim Jones. And that's why people can easily compare him to a Jim Jones. But his situation is not that of a Jim Jones, and we know this, but it has become something totally, in a way, new. And we have to ask ourselves, why now? And we know why now. We know why now is to reach the consciousness. Like I said, even politics right now is a trap. I said a long time ago, they will fight like hell to keep souls down. And that's what they're doing. That's exactly what's going on. They're fighting like hell to keep your soul, my soul. And we got to recognize this. This is an important thing that we have to recognize. We have to recognize soul traps. Politics is one. Money, medical, all of these things around us is nothing more than us. I hate to admit it. It's nothing more. Everything, every little thing on this planet is a soul trap. Medical, when someone is offering, we don't need medical. We know this. We don't need medical. We never needed medical. Food, handing us food. They told us this with the Pilgrim story. They told us this with the Pilgrim story. How are they? We got to recognize, okay, they had clothes, right? The natives we had our own garments wearing. Let me see if I can find the Pilgrim story, because we need to examine this Pilgrim story. Okay, it doesn't make sense. To me, family, the Pilgrim story never made sense. But we're going to look at it. Hopefully I don't get a copyright. I shouldn't, just using someone else's video. Doesn't make sense. Okay, hold on. Let me transfer over. Let's take a look at this Pilgrim story here. Oh, this one.
The first Thanksgiving. Hi, I'm Mary Chilton, and I am one of the original pilgrims who survived a year of famine to celebrate the first.
First, look at how they're dressed. First, look at how they're dressed. And they can dress, but they can't have food. They didn't. Okay.
First Thanksgiving in the New World. After arriving in the New World, the first thing we needed to do was to write a document that would guide our new society. The men gathered together and wrote the Mayflower Compact.
They can write, but they can't find food.
Every man who had traveled aboard the Mayflower signed the agreement on November 21st, 1620. Soon after the Mayflower Compact was signed, the men went exploring to find a place where we could build our new homes. After several days, they returned to the Mayflower with some corn they had found. "We think we will find a place to settle soon," they told us hopefully. We were relieved. "Oh, thank the Lord," we said. After 6 more weeks of exploration, our men sent word that they had found a place to settle. December 31st, 1620 was our first chance to see the place we would call home. We named it Plymouth. The weather in January was bad, but the men worked hard to cut logs for the settlement. First, they built a common house to store our tools, furnishings, and supplies.
They built houses, but they couldn't find food.
Then they built houses. The work went slowly because many people were ill, and more than half died in the great sickness that winter. My family was one of the hardest.
Now we know that Caucasians, they have a weaker immune system, a way weaker immune system. So when we mix with them, that lowers our body's powers and magic, which ain't not the magic, is melanin, our your melanin's ability to work.
Tit. I lost both my father and my mother. My father was the oldest pilgrim to make the voyage to the New World, and he died very quickly. My mother was a very strong woman, but she also.
So Caucasians always been dying over here. Always been dying over here. Their immune system, they've always been dying on the planet. Always been dying on the planet. This right here tells you that no matter where they go on this planet, they always get sick and die.
Also died. I know in my heart that she died because she wanted me to live. She always made sure I ate first. She would give me some of her food because there wasn't really enough food for all of us to eat. By the end of the winter, more than half of those who had crossed on the Mayflower had died, but the older women were the hardest hit. Only 5 of the 18 original married women aboard the Mayflower survived. Although I was now an orphan with no mother or father, the other pilgrims took me in and treated me with kindness. With so many women dead, I found myself busier than ever. I had to help do the cooking and the laundry for the men and boys who had lost their wives and mothers. In March of 1621, a Native American came to our village. His name was Samoset. He walked into the village shouting,
"Welcome, welcome, Englishmen!"
Even though it was a very cold and windy day, Samoset was naked except for a cloth around his waist and moccasins on his feet. The men talked to Samoset for a long time. Samoset left the next day after promising to return soon. After several days, Samoset did return with another Native American who amazed us all with his flawless English. His name was Squanto, and he said he was the last surviving member of the Patuxet tribe. Squanto stayed with us that whole spring and summer. He taught our men how to hunt and how to fish. He taught the women how to plant and cultivate corn, squash, and beans. Squanto helped us to make friends with the neighboring tribes. With his help, we signed a peace treaty with King Massasoit. We learned that our seeds from England did not grow very well in the New World, but Squanto showed us that if we planted our seeds with herring, then they would grow. Squanto and other Native Americans also helped us with our crops. With their help, our corn, squash, and beans did very well that year. To celebrate our bountiful harvest, we invited the great King Massasoit and his advisors to our village. The feast lasted for 3 days. We ate duck, turkey, deer, clams, lobster, and many kinds of fish. There were lots of berries, nuts, and several kinds of fruit, but the best dish of all was an Indian pudding made from pumpkin and sweetened with the syrup from a maple tree. We thank God for the success of our harvest and for the kindness of the Native Americans who taught us the skills we needed to survive.
Power and control, which they lack, but had to find a way to gain it. And still trying to find a way to gain it. But like I said, the Pilgrims too ran from their problems and always wanting to find that utopia. But utopia, we all know that utopia starts within us. It's right where we're at. If we don't have it, then you probably never will retain it or never ever have it unless you seek it within yourself first. And that requires you to face demons. That requires you to face and gain some understanding to your experiences, good or bad. And progress from that, grow from that, before you try to go off and start a village, which is my goal. Me and a couple others, we want to do a village. But when we do this, it's going to be to help souls, to heal souls, and not to create a trap house where you're going to be dealing with the same old things. And this is what I see, aka Natureboy / Eligio / Babajii, as a trap house, a fire trapped house for souls. Because the consciousness is there, but the consciousness is misguided. Yeah, misguided. Oh, Leadpad is asking me a question, and he says, so do you think that King James was a melanated king the Pilgrims no longer wanted to listen to anymore? I've never understood why Pilgrims left the land they were in. Yes, that's a great question, Leadpad. What, from my understanding of why they left, Leadpad said he's that crazy. Yes, Natureboy is, and I just explained why. But the thing about it is, before I get to your answering your question, because I already know why they fled, and you know why they fled, but you just don't put it together. They tell us all the time why they fled, but the thing about Natureboy is he's like our child, and we drop the ball when we don't protect our children, family, when we don't protect our own Black children, I'm trying to tell you, this is critical. We know what happened to his parents. They became victim of the environment that was induced upon us, crack, cocaine, drugs. But what about our children out here, our Black children who get in the midst of all that taken from us, stolen from our communities, put into white homes, put into different other insane homes where abuse goes on? This is why it's important to see and learn from aka Natureboy, Eligio, Babajii. It's important to look and learn from this because our children are most important for us to protect because they are the extension of us. They are the ones that are going forward in the physical and growing. They are our change. So we need to protect our children. That's all I can say about that. Is protect our children, ours. Ours. And I cry aloud for our children that get taken. And we can't do anything about it, but we can do things. There's things the community can do. Yeah, but it's too late for Eligio. It's too late for Natureboy. He's a grown man now. And now we're learning this is what we produce, or this is what the nature of the beast produces at our weak state when we don't protect the Black children. Our children are out here. Our communities are crushed. Our communities are crushed. Our children are out here. Our most important things, souls, are being taken on a constant basis. And this is the whole system. This is the whole program. Okay. So we know that I'm going to get to your question. I know you do, Let Pat. We all cry aloud. All the ones of us that know and are aware, we cry aloud. And we need solutions. We need to, and this is why me and my partners, we want to do a village, a healing village. And we hope many, many more pop up because we need them. We need them in full force. We need them in full force. We need a change within our people, within ourselves. This is what we need, and we need it now. But it does take a process. So, what they did was they left, and they always cry about freedom, freedom, freedom. So they left the land for freedom. Freedom of religion, they tell us all the time, Led Pat. Just the freedom of the life. Because they felt power and controlled. So they too wanted freedom. Only to come over here and have bring power and control over others. That's what they did. This is what happens, that vicious circle. That vicious circle. And like they brought their little Plymouth Rock. And Malcolm X was right. Plymouth Rock landed upon us. Yeah. So King James was melanated, but you got to recognize that also over there they had stolen the crown. The crown was stolen from the Black people, and that is documented. But they don't call them Black people, although we know they were Black people. And so now you have this white rule. And many of them wanted to come to a new land anyway. But that was all planned, just to come over and to spread their power. It wasn't necessarily just them wanting freedom. It was to spread the power out. So that was intentionally done. Sometimes you can intentionally make people psychologically do the things you need them to do. And that's what happens. As well as we know about World War One, World War II, and England also wanting Palestine. England always also wanted Palestine. So what they do is psychologically they made this man Hitler. He became president of Germany, and they were able to. They knew he was a psychopath, so they were able to get him to do their bidding quite easily. Then created a people that needed a land. They needed the same conditions that they put the Black people in. They put us in because the land they wanted was Africa, was in Africa. All that's Africa. They already took parts of Africa living in England. England's parts of Africa. So to get Palestine, another part of Africa, they had to subjugate their own and create the same issues they created for the Black people. And then to make their people look like the chosen ones because they adopted a religion from Black people. So to make them look like the chosen ones when they were just adopted into the religion. But to make it look like it's their bloodline. And then make us think that, and where even though we know there's nowhere and no time where these people were ever slaves, but that is to confuse and conflict people in their minds to make them think, okay, these people have been suffering in England, in Germany. No, they didn't suffer in Germany because I'm going to show you more proof. I love Anne Frank's diary because she talks about I need to go back to this to get Anne Frank's diary. I don't know what I was thinking about, but not Google. They were a wealthy people, but they needed to go through extreme trauma Let me share Anne Frank's diary with you real quick. Just a snippet. These people, they had businesses over there. They had everything going over there. They had their own businesses. They had their own doctors. They had everything. And envy kicked in because they had a different religion belief than the rest of the country, than the other people. And this religion belief motivated them or got them to having their own stuff. Kind of like they adopted our black ways, basically.
It's already 6 in the morning.
See, their life was good. The ones who adopted the Jewish religion. But they're still white people.
Walter, today's my birthday, you know. I'm 13.
I just want you to see a snippet of how they live.
Schnell, schnell, los! Geh rauf auf den Lastwagen! Schnell! Auf was wartest du?
Ah, Mr. Frank. I almost forgot. Would you please give this to Anne? It's a little present for her birthday. I do hope she likes it.
And this is from me, Otto. Thank you, Cowboys. Thank you, Meep. I'll give them to her at home. As I told you, we will soon be going into hiding. Would you be willing to assume the risk of looking after us and being our outside contact? Yes, we'll be needing you very soon. Hello, I'm home.
Daddy? Daddy, it's you! Oh, you brought home lots of surprises, I'm sure. Let me see them. Let me see them.
A little patience, Anne. I'll give you Meep and Cowboys' gifts in the meantime.
Oh, yes, please.
Take my case.
Yes, Daddy.
Thank you. Let's go inside now. Hello.
Daddy, you're back at last.
Thank heaven you're home safe.
How are you, Edith? Did you have a pleasant day, dear?
Can I open my presents now, please? Daddy, can I, please?
Happy birthday, dearest Anne. Here, these are for you.
Oh, thank you.
The one with the pretty ribbon on it is from Meep.
And open your presents carefully. If not, you'll spoil this lovely paper. And the ribbon. Everything is so very precious during wartime.
Yes, I know. A book on the cinema. Oh, that's Greta Garbo and Fred Astaire. Oh, I really adore them.
And my dear, you should look at the package underneath it.
Oh, it's a dream come true. A diary. A diary. What a wonderful idea. Thank you, Daddy.
It's from your mother as well. We both had the same idea. Don't you think you should thank her too?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mummy.
Take advantage of your carefree life while there's still time.
Yes, they are very dark. I noticed that.
Otto, I'm frightened. We were forced to leave Germany because of Hitler, and now they're making us wear yellow stars on our clothing in Holland.
Yes, I know. The only way to escape the Nazis now is to hide from them, to disappear.
See, the whole plan was they needed Palestine, so they needed
What will
to
become of
cause
us?
suffering for
This
these
horrible
people
war has me so worried for Anne and
and
Margot.
create
Edith, listen. You know as well as I
trauma
do that it's
to
too
make
late
them
and too
worthy
dangerous
of
for us to try to
a
get out of
land.
Amsterdam. Kopois has brought supplies and furniture to our hideout. In addition, Meep is going to help us, so be brave.
Friday, June 12th, 1942. You are the nicest present of all. I hope I shall be able to confide in you completely, as I never have been able to do in anyone before. And I hope that you will be a great support and comfort to me. I want you to be the true friend for whom I have waited so long. And I'm going to call you Kitty. Because of the anti-Jewish decrees, Daddy can't take the tram like everyone else and has to go to his office at the other end of the city on foot. Ever since the German invasion in 1940, Amsterdam has been occupied by the army, and now we Jews must wear a yellow star on our clothing. If not, we can be arrested.
You notice they never talked about being from Africa or anything like that. These people, their home was where it was. They had businesses,
My sister Margot and I have been
hospitals,
transferred to the Jewish secondary school.
doctors,
Anyway, I'm so glad to be in
their
the
own
same class with
schools.
Lise. And you know, everyone is saying you're in
Professor
love with
White.
Harry Goldman. Oh, we've walked to school together once or twice, but that's all.
Anyway, that's not what he says.
3a minus 6ab plus 5b plus 3a plus
Since you seem to be so well informed, tell me what else he's saying about me. Guess that I'm much too young for him?
No, he says he prefers you to Fanny, that she puts him to sleep.
Give me that. You're jealous. Just because Harry and I are friends doesn't mean the whole world has
Jealous?
to
You're
know.
joking. He's 16 and he thinks all your friends are children, but he likes you because you're his alarm clock.
What?
So we see a little bit of that. And we can see how they lived and that the falsehood of them being people, always been a people, no. This was the first time these people had been persecuted or have endured what they've endured. And that's it. It came like that. It left like that. But we as Black people are always constantly persecuted on a daily, all our lives. our throughout our whole existence on the planet, our whole current existence on the planet, of course. I would say before these Caucasians arrived on the planet, we didn't have persecutions or anything like that for our existence as in Black people. So they've created the cult. They've created this idea of a cult and this idea of religious persecution, religion, period. So they got basically the beast, like the beast is just like the swamp that Trump is trying to drain. My cousin does not, when I explained that to her, she says, well, he's part of it. Yeah. So it's going to take a part of them to really destroy them. We cannot do it. So it's going to take a part of them to destroy them. So when he says drain the swamp, I mean, this is so huge. I cannot describe it in words. Words are too it's too much to describe in words, but I'm going to try to explain the swamp because it is huge. And they've always, when they created these wars, they utilized these wars. So that's a big part of the dirty swamp. Eligio is a part of the swamp, believe it or not. He made himself a part of the swamp when he chose to run away from his problems instead of facing the problems. When he signed on or signed over his soul to the beast, to work for the beast. Yes, I know. Because it does not make sense, period. You're right, Cardinal Sin. It does not make sense, period. And since I can't even explain that. It's just it's what you're saying, Cardinal Sin. You're right. Words are not your strong point unless you're sprouting nonsense. Then you're fine. Exactly. You're so right about that. It's just we can't grasp it. We just don't have that ability, and I definitely have no ability. I sometimes can do it, but when I'm trying to make logic of things, I think that's what it is. We're trying to put logic to it, and we can't. I think that's what it is. I'm not for sure. And you can see that it all coordinates. It just all coordinates. It's all one big mess, and it needs to be cleaned up. Okay, I'm just gonna put it like that. Yeah, logic gets wasted. Yeah, it's a mess that must be cleaned, and it's just have formulated around us. It formulates around us when we don't face things. We can lose our souls, and this is important, very important and critical. That should be number one lesson that we teach these children. Yeah, DeCalico, he's sick, but when we neglect the children that are being touched and being out here being abused by people, we don't, we no longer have the strong environments to. That's like they're working on Africa. That's like them children in Africa. Africa, the little towns, the little villages, they always take in their orphans. We don't over here. We never have. We tried to. There's been times when in the past when we did take in our children. But you got to realize there's millions of Eligios, there's millions of nature boys out there that now, because we no longer have that big mama to take in the children and to fight for them to be not taken by foster care. We have a few out here, but they can't do everything. We have a few still out here, but they can't do everything. They can't save everybody. They try, but it's only like maybe a handful. Well, DeCalico, we do. We have many, many out here, unfortunately, because I've seen it. Now we allow, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Now, grown men who are gay can adopt our boys, our baby boys, our baby girls. They got them. They got them. That doesn't mean we've lost our battle. I'm not showing you this to tell you we lost our battle. By no means. Because we don't know what those children are able to come from underneath, how powerful those children may be. So what we need to do is we need to love ourselves better. We need to love ourselves greater as a people and not fall for these traps, because these traps are out here and these traps are real. These traps are real out here. My someone in my family was telling me that, that like I said, they said, you need to stop labeling yourself Black. You need to stop thinking that Black people are going to be for you. No, I'm for Black people and I'm Black. I'm what they call, quote unquote, a Black person. Although I know it's not real. I know it's not real. Quote unquote, if they want to call it quote unquote Black, then I would say that describes me. What they have made me into. But I know that I'm more. DeCalico, I know that I'm much more than that. So I don't get hung up on those things. I just know what they've made, and I have to describe it so that then we can take that and we can put it in a different category once we get past that with them. Once we can pass it with them. But we do have to face, it's important that we face, see, he's showing us that we can have all the consciousness, but unless you deal with what's right in front of you in the mirror. You cannot help nobody else. We cannot help each other. We cannot see. We're going to create what the beast has created, control and power over people. Control and power over the people. And we got to get rid of that, because that's going to get drained in the drainage cesspool with the swamp. And that's all that would happen. That's all that would happen. But we shouldn't want that. We should want to save souls. We should want to help souls. Like Natureboy, like aka Eligio, like aka Babajii. But until he can face those demons in his life, they will forever be with him. And he will never have his utopia. Because you can't have a utopia until you freed yourself from that which has hindered you and pulled you down. And overpowered you in your own life. So this is what I see in him. And the women that are with him are truly becoming victims, and they should not want to put themselves in a victimized situation ever. Until he has dealt with and faced these issues that he has, he cannot even liberate himself. So let alone these men and these women that are going over there to be amongst him. And they shouldn't be running anywhere, because it first starts within you, then you can go elsewhere to enhance that. But we should never, I don't think we should ever run before we deal with things. I think we always should deal with self first, especially before we get around others. And it's very hard. It's a continuous work, working with ourselves. It's non-ending. And I just, yes, cardinal sin is right. Seeking answers begins with ourselves. Yeah, never trust so-called knowers. Exactly. It starts with ourselves. It always starts within ourselves. That utopia is nothing like it. Going within and dealing with self first. Nothing else can substitute for that. I don't care if I'm under the hottest sun. it's only going to illuminate my need to go within more. It's just going to build that tight knit connection I need with my inner self more. It's not going to have me seeking an Eligio or a nature boy or whatever else you call him. And it's not going to have me leaving my children behind. Definitely not that. If it's beautiful, it would have you pull your children into it with you. If it's beautiful and it feels good on the skin and it's radiating from inside out, that thing will have you taking everybody with you and not separating, because love is not separation. Love, there's no love in separating. Love is building and bringing together and putting together and connecting. Love connects. My cousin was telling me about what was his name? He speaks on the body and health and all this stuff, and he's pretty much come up in doing it. But this man has, in doing what he's doing, the work he's doing, he's brought together his parents in one house together. They were divorced, separated. He brought his own parents together. That's love. When you can take, as a man, your parents, you know, they've been divorced and separated, and you can heal that, then you are powerful. You're telling the people good stuff. I wish I can get the guy's name. You all probably know him. He's real popular. He's married with children. And he talks about the body and health and all this stuff. I think he's on Facebook. Matter of fact, my cousin sent it to me. Here, I'll get his name now, and maybe I'll show you his video to show you, to coincide, you know. Okay, let me see if she sent me his video. Yeah, I think she sent. Yeah, okay. Okay, his name is, hold on. Okay, I got it. No, hold on. I sent that to her. Where is she at? But he's the health guru, and he shows and proves the work he has done. I mean, yeah, they will rob you blind. So true. You're so right. They will rob you blind. That's why you never send people money like that. You send people money who you feel inspired to send money to. But those who constantly need like him, we're feeding into people who are stealing souls. Be aware of building a bad foundation, because that his foundation is going to crumble eventually. Especially mistreatment of people will always, that foundation will not last. Like this American foundation is not lasting at all. It will eventually crumble. Yes, people, I love it, Cardinal Sin. Our people you have your own answers within you. Within you, your voice, the first voice, the first thought in your mind is trying to warn you or trying to talk to you, trying to speak to you. Mine's many, many times. It could be the littlest things. I talked about it the other day. The lemonade on the table. It told me to put that in the icebox. I did not. I was afraid to put it in the icebox. But simple things like just put it in an icebox. That lemonade would still, someone would have been able to drink that big cup of lemonade. Because later on, I wanted a big cup of lemonade, and that was spilled. That was wasted. Because of my disobedience to myself. But I did have a small cup of lemonade that we did put in an icebox. The irony of things. Huh? I thought she sent me his video, but she showed me. She might have sent it to my email. Let me see if it was in my email. Let me see if it was in my email. You said life reduced to lemonade, laughing out loud. Yeah. Like they said, what's that saying goes? When you're given lemons, make lemonade. Oh, yes. And I love lemons. They're good to a certain extent. Not too much. But anyway, she hasn't, maybe I'll talk about him later because she has not sent me. She it must be too early for her. It must be too early for her then. Let's see. Mm. But like I said, there's powerful people out here, telling us or guiding us to go within, and then there's people that are, Eligio, he has the knowledge, but we have to beware of those and look at their lives and see if their lives line up with what they're doing, because his does not line up with what he's doing. His is that same old classic power and control over people. So we never, as a people, try to have power and control over each other. We never done that. But when that is done, that should be a key evidence to tell you to run for your life. I keep telling you, look at things and see if you need to run for your life. Out here, you may need to run for your dear life. So I won't talk too much about this, but this is what I see. I see someone who hasn't dealt with his own demons, who has not truly went within himself to really think about these things and face these things. But he somehow has made it to where he can make it look like he is in a way dealing with it, but he hasn't at all. Because when you deal with these things, by no means do you want others to fall victim to the same thing that you have fallen victim to. You want that to be far away from others. But it's not there. He's not there. And that is the danger. That is the danger. So I won't stay on here too long because I got to get up and get myself together. So with that said, family, true love, real peace, and the higher self within the soul. Until next time, peace.